Boys and girls, Alex here. Many years ago I built this jig because I certainly couldn't afford a Festool MFS 700 router jig. And if I couldn't afford it now, I certainly have trouble justifying paying the $780 for it nowadays. Now, if you don't know what it is, I might be wasting your time. However, if you're still interested, ideally it's designed to route out a rectangular shape in a piece of timber. For example, the siding on the sides naturally be much smaller, a mortise for a hinge. Primarily it's designed to run a router which should have a flat bit in there around the perimeter to put a nice little beading around it, or all over the place to hog the centre out. Alternatively, you could run another router with the following bit just around the perimeter. Let's get this right. So you can then just hog out a rectangular unit. Yeah, that's it. So look, I'm not going to go into how or where you would use it, other than the fact that let's just hope we've established the fact that you might need one of these. Now, as I said, compared to the $775, give or take free postage, this unit is made up of some hardwood, T-tracks. In there, look, the way it works is you loosen up these knobs. Actually, it's incredible, I've just recently made a modification to this. I've flattened out the bottom of that circle. One of the reasons why I hadn't used it that much is it was hard to get great pressure on it. Now I've flattened that up, I can get so much pressure, it's a bugger to undo. But once you've undone that, you can slide that along to whatever size you like, and then it works the same the other way. Look, I'll pull this apart and give you a look at the heart. Well, hang on. No, I'll take this off camera. Okay, I've dismantled it. Back to the anatomy of this. What I have is a piece of hardwood. It's 64 by 19 by whatever length you like. The length is primarily determined by the T-track. However, just appreciate you can have it too long. If you need something super big, you might be better off using a one of those outriggers on your thing and clamp bits of wood to it. I don't know, but anyway, this is mainly designed for smaller stuff. What I've done is I've made sort of like a tenon on the end there to slide in the T-track and give it stability. I've cut a bit out for the coast bolt. Now, hang on, I'll stop this for a second. Just managed to track down a couple of tracks, T-tracks. You'll notice there's two different styles, two different profiles. Hang on. Now that might give you a better idea. The top one is a Rockler one that you can buy locally at Carbotech or in the States. It's got a white slot there, and I'll get into that later. This other one is a Craig type of a track, and it's much narrower. It hasn't got that extension. It's basically best used for a 1/4-inch T-bolts or 1/4-inch bolts. Now this one, the Rockler one, will accept a 5/16 T-bolt beautifully. And if you can buy these 5/16 knurled knobs, which is actually ideal. A little bit bigger than the 1/4 inch that I use, which means you can get a better grip on them when you put them in there, and they're still only about 17 mil wide, which basically means that it sits within the confines of your timber. Now when I made mine, I didn't know anything about T-tracks, T-bolts. I didn't know much about the tracks, so I actually used the coach bolt, where as you can see I've doctored it a bit, cut off the edges to fit into the Rockler T-track. I found these better than the hex nuts, and that's it. Now what I've also done, I've cut an inch hole, or 25 mil actually, diameter hole in there, and through there I've recessed the bolt so it goes up in there, and that bit that goes in there just gives that little bit of stability when you try and move it in there. I mean, look, if you made it that short, it's great, but then as you can see it'll wobble around. Up there, greater stability. Now what I've just recently, and I've only done this in the last couple of days, is flattened out this hole there, so I can then now really crank down. Where is it? Here's another one. Crank down on that. Oh, it's spinning around. But anyway, the beauty of it is now you can square it up once it's done with all these grooves. As long as you make sure that's 90 degrees and all that, you're going to get a perfect 90 degree and a perfect square out of it. Now look, the T-tracks, I can't remember how much they are. I bought them a while back. You'll have to really search the web for the brass nuts. Not that, well, they are, I reckon they look better, they feel better than the stainless steel ones, but they serve the same purpose. I don't recommend wing nuts. However, you can always get one of those. If you can't get the knurled knobs, you can always just use a hex nut and one of those little ratchet spanners. However, if you get a ratchet spanner, get one of the better quality ones that will permit minimal movement. Some ratchet spanners might require you to do about 10 degrees before it can click over to the next ratchet. The better ones might permit you to do a 5-degree movement. So you don't have to, you can change it with smaller movements. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully, geez, I hope I've managed to keep this short, because the last time people were complaining, Rob, about the length of my videos. Unfortunately, and I make this poor excuse, they're not rehearsed, they're done off the cuff. Oh, well, not off the cuff, I think. Yeah, I'll make a video, but I don't rehearse it, so I've got no idea what I'm going to say. Now, this was actually presented in Lumberjocks, and somebody made a comment, you know, we always gag around there, says, oh, it'd be interesting to see me put a box around it because I've been making boxes for everything. Well, I've actually come up with a boxed idea. There you are, I'm actually working on it here, and hopefully I'll make another video showing you how I package this up. Uru, boys and girls. I hate reshooting, however, when editing the video, or putting it together I should say, I noticed that when I mentioned the 5/16 inch knurled knob was totally out of the picture, so I thought I'd just cover it again. You'll notice it is, in comparison to the 19 mil, it's about 2 mil short, so you've got enough room in there to play around with it without it protruding. Now you can actually, if you notice, this also is a 5/16 knob, stainless steel, much bigger than the other one. Now that is exactly 3/4 of an inch, and if you put it in there, if it's not perfectly centered, look, well, it shouldn't matter, but I'd rather not have it. Anyway, that's it. Catch you later.